go again. We're on the road again. Very topical song at the moment, James.
It is, because people love roads.
They do. And being on them.
Especially
again.
the Romans.
Yeah. I was never a big fan of that song, especially when it was played ad nauseum in the old back of the Castletown Inn. Remember the late 90s? Somebody was always putting it on.
Yeah, there was always a lot of shite on in there, fairness.
Oh, yeah. I always got the lyrics wrong as well. I thought there was a graffiti on the wall. I thought it was graffiti on the walrus.
That would have made more sense.
Graffiti on the walrus says we're magic, we're magic. See, that's
a better ring to it,
alright. So yeah, welcome once again to the podcast, Junk Dilemmas.
It is.
I'm going to get the disclaimer in early here, because if ever there was an episode that needed it, it's probably this one. So once again,
we're not
we're not affiliated with Mr.
We're definitely
Welch.
not affiliated, no.
And
his sick mind.
yes, and for anyone that's disturbed easily,
easily offended,
don't read this book. In which case, you probably won't be listening to this.
No.
But unless you're Mossy, he doesn't read the books. He just listens to us.
He's probably better off.
Yeah.
The books are fairly shite.
Prepare to be disturbed, Martin.
Yes.
So yeah, it's
not in a good way either.
Adult themes and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. But I think we'll get straight into some Welsh news. Why don't you read the Welsh news there, James?
I will. Irvine Welsh has agreed to be filmed juggling multiple projects over the course of 18 months for an intimate fly-on-the-wall documentary. Ooh. Filming has already begun on a feature-length portrait of Welsh, planned to be released to coincide with the 30th anniversary of debut novel Trainspotting next year. Described as a rare glimpse into the mind of a prolific artist at work and play. I Am Irvine Welsh will follow Edinburgh-born writer during what he has described as the busiest period of his life. It's been directed by Paul Sng, who recently... What?
Sing, is it? I don't know.
SNG.
Yeah.
Sng.
As good a guess as any.
Who recently directed Little Warrior, a boxing-themed short film based in Edinburgh and executively produced by Welsh himself.
Indeed.
The extended profile is expected to see Welsh working around a new musical version of Trainspotting, for fuck's sake. A TV spin-off series with Robert Carlyle reviving his iconic character Bakery, The Long Knives, a novel featuring trouble detective Ray Lennox, a follow-up to Crime. Oh god,
that's The Long Knives.
Oh, sorry. The recent TV series which saw Do Gray Scott play Lennox, and a podcast satire on American tabloid culture being developed with author Bret Easton Ellis.
Indeed. So a lot to digest there, James.
Indeed.
First and foremost, we should probably be in this film ourselves, because we're in the Welsh world now, whether he likes it or not.
Poor bastard. Perhaps
I'll reach out to the director here, Mr. Singh, and ask him when he's coming to interview us.
He should.
Indeed. But Trainspotting the musical.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It sounds like we're taking a little trip to Broadway.
Yes we are.
No doubt the tickets will be in the post for that one as well. But yeah, we've heard about the Blade artists being filmed before. That sounds good. That should be pretty good in fairness. The Long Knives, I've started reading it. As I told you straight away, 50 pages in, they mentioned Taggart, so that's always a good start.
You're onto a winner.
We know about the second series of Crime, and this podcast with Bret Easton Ellis. I do like a bit of Easton Ellis, I must say. Another sick bastard.
Who's he?
American Psycho.
Oh, very good.
So you can only imagine what those two are going to come up with. But if it's going to be a podcast... fucking podcast. If it's going to be a podcast, lads, you're kind of pissing on our territory here.
Yeah,
so
we can sue these cunts.
I know Welch likes a bit of boxing, but he may get his gloves on because it's going to be a dog fight.
And it'll both be dog shite.
But anyway, that's our Welsh news. We'll look forward to.
He's just flying, like they're just going to follow him around.
Yeah,
he seems like a boring cunt in fairness.
Jesus Christ. Apologies to anyone who's listening who might like Irvine Welsh.
Sorry.
I don't know.
No, but his interviews and all that, he's really dour.
Well, he's into his, he's just, very calm spoken man, isn't he? But he does get it. He has his finger in a lot of pies by the sounds of it.
Well, if that's on the podcast, that'll be good.
Well, he's into his DJing as well, of course. So God knows what. Maybe this will change your mind on that.
Fucking Glenn Welch.
Maybe we should change this to Irvin Welch or to Glenn Welch podcast.
Now
See
you're
how we
talking.
get on. But anyway, that's Welch news, and we look forward to all of that.
Oh, can't wait.
Moving swiftly on, well, before Jem insults our saviour any further.
I wasn't insulting.
No, you just said he leads a very boring life.
No, I said he's a boring cunt.
Okay, fair enough.
In interviews, he is. He's not. He doesn't exactly.
Yeah, well, I suppose interviews isn't exactly his forte, is it? It's
No.
the written word. We've seen him do a bit of acting as well. That's probably not his bag either.
No.
But sure, look, as I say, it's probably going to be more about the people he meets and the situations he's in than, him fucking getting up in the morning and wiping his arse. I hope that's not in it. Anyway.
I really hope that's not involved.
Anyway, moving on to the book in question, Crime from 2008. The book cover. Jem, you forgot the book.
I didn't have the book.
Aha, almost got you there. Inside joke, which I'll now share with the listeners. So, in actual fact, neither of us read the book.
No.
We listened to the book because we're lazy fuckers.
Yeah, reading is old. It's
Well,
just too old.
I like reading, but my eyeballs aren't what they used to be.
No.
And after a long day watching YouTube while I'm supposed to be working, I'm just sick looking at screens or reading books and putting on my glasses. So, I listen to books while I'm supposed to be working, or when I'm going on my long walks at night time when under cover of darkness.
In the bushes.
And even doing household chores, I usually have my earphones in because...
Yeah, because you don't want to listen to your family.
Well, exactly. so that saves a lot of time, really.
It does, yeah. In fairness, if we didn't do that, this wouldn't be coming out for another 2 years.
Well,
I don't think I would have been able to read this actual book.
Well, I suppose while we're talking on the old audiobooks, we mentioned them just before we came on air. There's one man who does all the audiobooks, but it looks like he's recorded all the kind of more famous ones, like obviously Trainspotting and Porno. But he's working his way through. Obviously, he's going to do Crime because they're kind of cashing in on Ray Lennox at the moment with the TV show and the Long Knives follow-up book. But Tam Dean Byrne, he's very good at doing the audiobooks, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. I didn't like him doing the girl's voice,
Whose voice?
the child's voice.
Oh yeah.
It didn't.
Well, this is it. You can't win them all. But yeah. Sometimes when he's doing the American accent, it's fucking comical, and even when it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
I've not yet. When you get one narrator like that in an audiobook, there's some of them they get right and some of them they don't. But in general, at the Scottish voices, he's very good.
The jocks.
Indeed. But I do know what the book cover for this looks like because I did have it, I just couldn't fucking find it. That was another reason I didn't read it. It just has a fucking silhouette of a man holding a little girl's hand. So hopefully, that's Ray Lennox and, what was it, Tiana?
Tiana, yeah.
And not Mr. Confectioner and somebody else. But anyway, it depends whether you're a glass half full or glass half empty type of person there. Pretty boring cover, to be honest, just a fucking general silhouette. I think in reissues they had a crocodile an alligator on the cover, which was a bit more.
That was on the audio book.
The book cover of the audio, indeed. Getting into the background. We call it the background? Yeah.
Backstory, did you?
Backstory,
That's the one you usually go for.
Backstory's back. Alright. This interview I pulled up from the year in question, 2008, is from the world-renowned web publication based out of Chicago known as Gaper's Block. I shit you not. Gaper's Block, yeah. So Gaper's Block said to Mr. Welch, crime is obviously a serious novel which deals with solemn issues, but you've always called it your most uplifting novel. When they say you've always called it, they were interviewing him at the time, so how long was he calling it that for?
2 weeks.
Yeah, it must have been. What makes it different from all your other ones? And Mr. Welch replied, well, I'm living in Ireland most of the time. No, I'm not going to do that voice. He did say this though. I'm living in Ireland most of the time, which he was. And you can't pick up a newspaper there without another paedophile priest story or somebody suing the priests or the church or the diocese for the abuse that's gone on. There was this big scandal in the 90s called the Bishop Casey scandal. We all remember it, of course.
Yeah, he wasn't a pedo.
He was. He was done afterwards. Yeah, the original thing was that he was just shagging your one.
Like Bishop Len Brennan.
Yeah. But then he was actually done
was
for
he?
actual abuse after
Dirty bastard.
yeah, after death possibly, I don't know. But and since then everybody who's been abused, hundreds of thousands of them, have all come forward. It's opened the floodgates, so it's changed the relationship that people have with the church, and I think that was what got me interested in it. Okay. But I realised when I started to write that paedophilia isn't at all an interesting subject to write about. There's no dynamism or moral ambiguity to it.
Or dynamism.
It's just basically wrong and it's evil and everybody's agreed on that. There's no ambivalence to it, and it's ambivalence that makes something
Where's he
interesting.
going with these fucking words?
He likes his big words, in fairness.
He's obviously not trying to spell them.
He doesn't have to say them out loud.
Exactly.
Except to Gaper's block. You can argue with violence, for example. It's destructive. Destructive. Oh my god. Maybe I should be drinking. It's
You should.
It's destructive, but people are inherently violent in a lot of ways. Abusing drugs is always bad for people and bad for society, but the whole notion of festival is tied up with intoxication. Very true. I was writing against this whole idea that you can be like a 50-year-old pop star and it's sort of inappropriate to have young boys sleep in your bed. But if you're a 50-year-old truck driver, it definitely would be. I wanted to have no ambiguity about it at all and to just see it as an absolute evil, and to have Lennox as this displaced, avenging, flawed angel. God. That is trying to rescue this kid, but the kid is also rescuing him by forcing him to come to terms with what he'd been repressing. So there's a lot to take in there. Yeah. He also mentioned that he spoke with abuse victims and survivors. Obviously very uncomfortable listening, but he felt it helped him with some of the more uncomfortable parts of the book from the victim's point of view, which of course we learn there are more of than apparent at the start.
Indeed.
So
that was a pleasant conversation.
Yeah. He also said that he used some police contacts he had for advice, but avoided internet research. Don't blame him there. We know what happened to old, what's his name? Pete Townsend from The Who.
What happened to him?
Well, I don't think he was done, but he was
Done.
outed for basically looking up child porn and said it was for research for a book.
A book,
Yeah.
says the musician.
Yeah. So there you go. I think somebody said that the book has since come out, but it took a long time. He probably only started writing it after he was done.
I'm a pedo.
If any Who fans are out there, you know, it is what it is. Oh yeah, he also mentioned, I've seen this, we've spoken before about his kind of female characters that he writes.
Or shite, usually.
Haven't had much depth, in fairness. And Gaper's block asked him, do you find it harder to write the female characters? And he said, not really. I did a thing, it's not released in America yet, but I hope it will be soon. It's a film called Wedding Bells. We're going to do Wedding Bells, or maybe you're not. There's one male character that's in it for about 10 minutes. I think that's Michael Fassbender. But there are 4 lead characters and they're all women. I tend to write them all the same way. You write people as human beings first, and then the gender-specific stuff second. You see a lot of crime novels or general fiction where the guy's writing about a woman character and you get 2 pages of her putting on her bra and it's fucking ridiculous, you know? You won't have 2 pages of a guy shaving or something like that or putting on a pair of boxer shorts. It's just bizarre. Jesus, I can't read.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Oh yeah. So on the subject of bringing back Ray Lennox, Gaper's block once again asked, I know you revisit characters a lot in your novels. Lennox, for example, a side character in Filth, ends up being the main character in this book. Do you feel like you had unfinished business with him? And Mr. Welch said, yeah, it's almost like a movie in a way, and you're thinking, who can I cast in this role? Lennox just seemed to fit the bill. I thought this guy had to be able to negotiate his way around and sense crime and sense criminals. So he had to be a cop, but he couldn't be an American cop because busting up this child abuse thing in Florida, he'd have to have resources for it. He would know the system and have contacts in law enforcement, go into the straight bureaucracy of it all and sort it all out. So I was thinking about the guys in Filth and this guy Lennox. He's done all of these things, but you don't really know why he's a cop. He seems to be a character of secrets, and I thought about secrets and the idea that sex abuse thrives on secrecy within families and within society and the church, and it grew organically, really. So we'll get into it anyway. Crime is a 2008 novel, and as mentioned here, it's pretty much, well, it's not really a sequel to Filth. It kind of is a spin-off of Filth.
Yeah.
So let's get into the breakdown. So it is actually set about 8 years after Filth. It's mentioned once, I think. And Mr. Lennox is en route to Florida for his honeymoon. No, not honeymoon, just a holiday. Premarital.
To organise the wedding.
Oh, yeah. With his fiancée, Trudy. Was Trudy in Filth? No, I don't think so.
No.
Lennox was barely in Filth, in fairness.
Yeah, he only met her recently.
Yeah. So he's indifferent to all of these wedding plans. He
doesn't seem too keen.
No, well, he has a lot on his mind, of course, because he's haunted by his last big case back in Edinburgh, which was the murder of Brittany Hamill, 10 years old.
10 or 8.
Something like that, yeah. By this notorious child murderer, Mr. Confectioner, as he was known at the start, so-called because he...
Oh, they reckon he looked like the Mr. Confectioner from years ago.
Yeah, the Toblerone advert.
Yeah.
How did they know what he looked like before
they didn't?
The name?
They didn't. Okay. They reckoned that's what he looked like.
Oh, fair.
When they didn't know who he was.
Right. And then the novel, it starts to switch between, his memories of that case and the current trip in Miami. And I suppose I'm not going to keep fucking flipping back and forward here. So we may as well cover the Brittany Hamill case straight away. So at least we know where Mr. Lennox is coming from. So yeah, there's a lot of suspects are mentioned here in the early going. There's some guy has already been put away. Ellis, is it Robert Ellis? For 2 previous child murders. Once again, some of this stuff is not a nice subject to be discussing, but I suppose we have to do it. He was caught fucking at the graveside, basically.
Crack him on off.
Yeah, and that's how they got him. They set up cameras at the grave, which apparently is a done thing because these fuckers like to go back to scenes of the crime and graveyards, basically.
And then he confessed.
Yeah. So he confessed. Well, did he confess to all of the murders? Or was that a different guy again? There was some other crackpot that
oh, yeah. No, that was
Forbes.
That was the Brittany Hamill one.
Okay.
He admitted to that, but they knew it wasn't him.
Right. So, anyway, this guy Ellis is put away. He was basically... They thought he was Mr. Confectioner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some people did, some didn't.
Yes, well, Lennox certainly didn't. As you say, there was this guy Forbes who was confessing to a lot of cases as well and was proven to be just a fucking idiot. Who else we got? Tommy Loughran, who is...
His grandfather.
Yeah. He's just an old flasher, apparently. Although I think...
His head.
Yeah. But he
abused...
He did abuse his
mother.
Yeah, but never any proof that he did it, anything other than that. But he did go missing. He just went on one of his benders, which happened to coincide with Brittany going missing. So he obviously became a big suspect for a while. This guy, Graham Cornell, who was a friend of the mother's, he ended up being another dead end as well. And yeah, they eventually caught Mr. Hang on, am I jumping the gun a little bit? No, not quite.
He gave himself up. They didn't catch him.
Well, no, they did. They caught him at the graveside.
Yeah, but he gave himself up.
Oh, he did straight away, yeah, and then introduced himself.
No, he said he went to the graveyard to give himself up.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Fair play to you, Jim. I just thought he went. I suppose, he didn't give a fuck anymore, did he?
Once he was caught.
Yeah. Well, while this is going on, obviously we have all the other characters from Filth are still the kind of police force at the time. So, Dougie Gilman.
Dougie.
Dougie Gilman in Filth, he was every bit of a fucking wanker as old Bruce.
Yeah.
And certainly in the film, a lot of the characters in the film had a comedy side to them, but in this book, he's progressed to be even more of a wanker, I think. But there's another flashback that Bruce remembers being on a holiday with him in Thailand. And he had, a clear underage lap dancer or something. And Bruce intervened in that and got a headbutt for his troubles.
Smashed his nose up.
So tensions have been high for a few years between Dougie and Ray. But in fairness, well, not fairness, but Gilman himself brings up as well that he knows that Lennox was there when Bruce was abusing that. Remember your man, the lawyer's Donaldson's daughter
in the flat.
In the flat, with the smell of Guinness farts. And it was horrible. But so yeah, I mean, Lennox. That's always been a bit of a fucking eyebrow raising moment for Lennox, because he was there and he was, although he didn't abuse her, he didn't stop it either.
Yeah, he knew what was going. Well, he knew what was going to happen.
He was a young fucking cokehead doing everything that fucking Bruce said at the time, I suppose. But these are the demons that are haunting him. So yeah, as you say, Mr. Confectioner finally coughs and gives up straight away. Garrett horsey to his friends.
Oh, horsey. I don't think he had many friends.
No, not many. So there's
English fellow.
There's horrible interviews, where he's going into details and so on. Admits to a lot more murders, even one in France. And of course he's mocking
Busman's holiday, he called it.
Yeah, he's mocking the whole police force, but Ray in particular for not catching him sooner. And apparently he could have spotted him on CCTV at a burger joint the night before.
Previous year, he spiked her drink.
Yeah.
Spiked the sister's drink.
So that's why she didn't get
the
up.
Shits, yeah.
So eventually Lennox does lose his cool and lunges at old Horsey and starts choking him. But Mr. Confectioner grabs his cock while this is going on. And in typical Welsh fashion, disturbingly, Lennox gets a, albeit involuntary, erection at the time. So that's not good reading either.
No.
Yeah. So, it's classic Welsh, really. But you can that's the setup. This takes a while to get, to come out in the book.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why Lennox is in the state of mind that he is when he gets to Miami. So, and on top of that, he's drinking like a fish and trying to recover from cocaine abuse.
Has a breakdown after
yeah, yeah. So that's another reason Bob Toyle sends him on this holiday, which obviously Trudy is more than happy to go on. So Bob Toyle doesn't really change from the character that was in Filth. He's always pretty good. Amanda Drummond, same, very totally by the book.
Straight-laced.
Absolutely. And as I say, we've mentioned Dougie. No mention of Gus in this one. Maybe Gus has since retired.
Which is the one that killed himself?
I can't remember his name, but it wasn't Gus.
I don't know.
And it wasn't your man Peter Ingalls, who Bruce kept setting up as being gay. Who doesn't get much of a mention here. He does get mentioned, but he doesn't play a big part at all. But who is mentioned is old Eddie Ginger Rogers, who is now retired and living in Miami with his second wife, Dolores, who, when Ray meets her, he notices that she has a shagger's glint in her eye. Indeed, very gamey. This could have been Gus, in fairness. It's not, but I mean, I don't remember old Ginger from Filth. But they mentioned Robbo a few times, so obviously he knew him. But I suppose I'm tightening the circle there of friends and characters, but sure, why not? But Ginger it is. So Dolores takes out Trudy away at one stage and leaves out Ray with Ginger, and he takes him to a lap dancing club. And for some reason that reminded me of his cast. I was not here for this whatsoever, but I distinctly remember a bloke in fucking Guinness's 30 years ago telling me he'd just come back from holidays. He went over with his wife, and it was his wife's auntie or something, her older sister, who was living in, I think it was somewhere like Louisiana or fucking Virginia, and she'd married this absolute hick with a fucking beard twice the length of yours, some lad. And like that, the ladies went off to do shopping, and he brought them off to some chicken ranch or whatever. And he says the outfit, they were sitting there or whatever, and then the outfit goes, "Excuse me for a couple of minutes, buddy," and heads off and does a little whatever with a a dancer, a private dance, as it were. But your man, I remember your man telling me when he came back, he had his comb out and was doing the beard up, whatever the fuck he'd been doing.
Been eating that bucket of ass.
Right up the crack of the ass. Yeah, so we get a bit of catching up here. This is probably Ginger's probably the only character that brings anything close to a bit of comic relief to this book, really. Obviously, this causes a blazing row with Trudy in the end.
They have many rows.
Yeah, but he eventually just fucks off. He just tells her fuck off. He's had enough for a shite and heads off drinking and obviously doing coke as well.
And looking for the Hearts result.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he keeps jumping on a Hearts forum as well, which would have been all the rage.
He gets in a row with someone.
He's fucking...
Over fucking... what's the keeper's name? Fucking... He's the keeper with the mouse still.
No way, is he?
Yeah.
I suppose this is only 14 years ago.
Yeah, no, he's old now. What's his fucking name? He reckons he's the greatest keeper.
There's more about Hearts later on in this, but he... I remember this at the time, not so much now.
Craig Gordon.
Yeah. There would have been a lot of heated debates going on internet forums back in the day. But so he's in some seedy fucking bar in the worst part of Miami, and he meets this woman, Robin, who is out and about.
Looking for a bit.
Is she with her friend Starry at the time?
Yeah, the two, he missed the two.
So,
he can smell the desperation off Robin.
Well, they can probably smell something off him as well, not least shite in his underpants. But he heads back to their place, obviously, for a little soiree. Oh yeah, there's a little mention here when he's in one of these memories or flashbacks he's having, and he remembers when he hooked up with Trudy. He's trying to put together the pros and cons of being with Trudy. Yeah. But he remembers that he got with her and then split up with her and then got back with her again. But some of the other cops, probably Dougie Gilman, was describing Trudy as reheated cabbage, which incidentally is the name of a short story collection that Welch released around this time. So maybe I should have kept that for connecting lines.
No, it's out there now. You can't take it back. It certainly
is. So they're back in the flat, and Lennox realises that there's a little girl there in one of the bedrooms, Tiana. So that's obviously going to spoil a party straight away. But, they carry on drinking or whatever. And then these two American characters are introduced.
Hoodlums.
Scumbags, some would say. Lance and Johnny. So I think Lance is a bit more clean cut.
Yeah, Johnny's a big huge ape.
Yeah, tank top wearing fucking Neanderthal.
Yeah.
But Lance has a bit more slyness about him, whatever. But I think it's Johnny that starts trying to progress into fucking the girl's bedroom.
Yeah.
And obviously Lennox fucking, in fairness to him, intervenes in that. There's a big row. And somehow he's the only one left in the house. The two men, the mother leaves with the other one and the fucking two blokes.
The two pedos.
And they're just like, in fairness, I think Lennox probably played a part in throwing them all out.
Yeah.
And just kind of, barricading the door. And he's left with this girl, and as the coke starts to wear off, the drink, whatever, he somehow comes to the conclusion that he needs to protect her and get her out of there. And I suppose he does his initial reaction his initial plan is to just go to the cops.
Yeah.
But of course, the big plot twist is as soon as he walks in, he spots out Lance
who is a cop.
Lance, who obviously went straight to work after a night of paedophilia and coke abuse.
He had his mother with him, didn't he?
Did he?
In the police station. For some reason, he was arguing with his mother.
These lads always have great relationships with their mammies. Norman Bates and whatnot. So then Lennox makes another decision to just fucking head off with this young one, take her out of the city, almost out of the state. Yeah. Well, to her uncle Chet, which is all she says at the time.
When I was listening on the audio, all I could hear was Uncle Jet.
Uncle Jet.
Jet. From the Gladiators. Jeez.
I wouldn't mind heading off to Uncle Jet myself.
Yeah,
but I suppose it becomes a bit of a road movie then for a while, where it's just the two of them heading off, and it's coupled with, again, we're getting the jumps back and forward to the stuff going on, or what had gone on in Edinburgh. We get a couple of chapters with Trudy as well. She plays away after a while.
She does the torch with
she gets a pain in her hole.
Some greasy real estate agents.
and obviously regrets it the next morning. But yeah, I suppose it's at this stage that you really see the difference in, we're not in Leith anymore. It's, long stretching freeways and the scenic swamps of Florida.
Gators.
Indeed. So it's like this kind of coincides with, as mentioned, where Welch had been living in America at the time, between Ireland and Chicago by the sounds of it, but obviously a bit of time in Miami as well.
He just loves all things American, like.
Well, he sets another book after this in Miami as well, Sex Lives of Siamese Twins. But
that's, what is that like?
I don't know. Should we get to that?
No, I'm not talking about the book, but
Sex Lives of Siamese Twins.
Is it actually about that?
No, it's just the name.
That's...
There's not even Siamese twins in it, if I remember correctly.
That's bollocks then.
Well, we won't be getting that for a good while.
Right.
But yeah.
How do Siamese twins do it?
Well, it's either going to be a threesome or one of them has to just kind of settle down with a good book.
Yeah.
Well,
they're not shaking.
What's the difference between that and if you're sharing a room with somebody in college, or we're still very weak walls and your siblings next door listening to you,
There's a fair bit of difference.
In that you're connected to the same body.
If some Larry was up lashing the arse off your shoulder, pretty much.
Oh, does it have to be someone called Larry?
Some fella, some Larry.
Larry, the road sweeper.
He's dead, I think. Now, who were to go, I hear that.
Do Siamese twins have two sets of genitalia?
Depends where they're joined.
We're getting into biology lessons again here. Like, how many banjo strings would a Siamese twin have?
Two lads probably have two. Two women would have none.
Wouldn't that?
Well, a woman doesn't have a banjo string.
We've covered this.
We've been through this. Do you want me to draw a diagram?
A diagram or a diaphragm?
I couldn't draw a diagram, but a diagram.
But if you do, don't put a banjo string in it, apparently.
No.
But anyway, so yeah, they go on a road movie and it's your typical kind of odd couple heading off and having adventures. And of course, every bloke that they meet, Lennox suspects is a paedophile. Once he says at one stage that it's like he thinks America is just the Freemasons of paedophilia. Yeah. It's like non-stock or non-smart, he calls it.
And all the way along, she's giving away more information on what's happened to her.
Yes, which it isn't nice to hear. And the other thing about Tiana is that her dialogue comes across as a bit too old for a 10-year-old. So obviously that's down to her being totally overexposed to adulthood by her mother, and obviously sexualized by her mother as well in terms of what she let her dress in, or what she dressed her in, basically like her, and obviously then the men as well that they encountered. I did note there was at one point when they're driving along in the car, there's Chicago, Hard to Say I'm Sorry is playing, and now Lennox is reminded that it was one of Robbo's favourite songs. As we know, Bruce had a great taste in music. And then I don't know where they're driving to, but they have to stay overnight in a motel at one point. I thought is Florida that fucking big? I know it's big.
I know it's big, I didn't think it was that big.
I don't know.
Coast to coast.
I suppose
it seemed like they stopped for about fucking 3 or 4 minutes.
Well, they stopped off certainly for one, but the one thing I was wondering about, like, obviously we get this awkward section where obviously Tiana's so messed up in the head that she thinks, we stopped at a hotel, so that must mean I have to jump into bed without Lennox there. She's just totally fecked up in the head. But it seems like he leaves her then and goes into her room. But it was like, why have they got separate rooms? Fair enough, he doesn't want to share a bed with her, but
and it's so sleazy fucking shithole.
Why is he, if he's protecting her, you'd think he'd just fucking sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
But anyway, they get through the night, and as you say, she kind of discloses a lot more details of what's gone on, which just makes him all the more eager to help her.
If to drive across from Miami to Tampa is 4 hours.
Okay.
And that's not even straight across, that's going way up. So.
I can only think that by the time he got everything fucking he went straight to the cop shop in the morning time.
Yeah, and then he fucked off, so.
I suppose they did buy that car, but yeah, it's a weird one.
Something's not making sense.
The numbers just don't add up. But I suppose they do take a detour as well at one stage to go on a fucking little boat tour of the Everglades.
Yeah.
Where the captain of the ship is just some bloke that apprehended the boat.
Fucking nonce.
Yeah, I don't think he actually is.
No,
but he is a bit creepy. But it turns out he's basically just like some homeless guy.
Yeah.
Because the cops do turn up and Lennox thinks the game's up. They're here for him, but they were here for your man.
Just robbed the
Who was
boat.
posing as a tour guide. But they eventually get to Chet, who himself has a boat.
Big boat.
Yeah, he's clearly
Well-to-do.
well off. And
Power
suspicions.
Former power lifter, yeah. Okay. Made the Olympics almost. On his shoulder.
I don't remember any of this. I didn't take any of this down either. I mustn't have deemed it that important.
It's not.
Yeah, so obviously suspicions come into play here as well then, where he realises Chet isn't really your uncle. He's just another guy that came to know them through fucking the mother. So Lennox is like, we need to get the fuck out of here again. Oh yeah, there's a baseball card found as well. She has memories of her real father leaving her baseball cards before he was killed, I believe. But
that turns out not to be true.
No. Does she find one of the baseball cards there on the boat? I think that's what it is, isn't it?
I can't remember.
There's something to do with the baseball card, which makes Lennox kind of realise, hang on, her memories are here. Which makes sense. She's been here before, but it all kind of, it's a bit fucking too dodgy for his liking. A copper always smells out the dodginess, the filth indeed. He didn't smell it off his partner for long enough though, back in the book filth. But anyway, another retreat to Miami, and they meet up with Ginger and Dolores and now Trudy, and we have a little get together for that, and on the roadside. And as that's going on, Dolores' dog Braveheart gets eaten by a fucking alligator. So yet again, Welch has managed to fit in a dead dog into one of his books.
He fucking hates dogs.
He must do. Yeah. He must do, or at least
he hates them.
Can't get them out of his head. But the one thing, this is horrible. Obviously, this is, not the worst thing in the book by a long stretch, but it's still fucking horrible. At least it's, you could call it the circle of life. And although there's not many occasions where a gator would be around a fucking household dog.
Eating dogs, no.
But at least it is two animals involved here and not, a human doing this to the dog. But Ginger is actually secretly delighted. Braveheart didn't really like Lennox either. So anyway, Braveheart's gone. He won't be in the Long Knives, we know that. What happens then is Lennox obviously leaves Trudy to look after, and Ginger and Dolores to look after Tiana, and he heads back to Chet's boat again.
He loves that boat.
He does. He loves driving as well, obviously.
Yeah.
It probably didn't take him as long to get back there though as it did the first time.
No, he didn't have to stay the night this time.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. He wants to retrieve the bridal magazine. He's been carrying this around the whole trip.
There's a name and address is on it.
Yeah, and that's when he's ambushed by old Johnny. Johnny Knoxville is waiting on the boat, and there's a big fucking
scuffle, kerfuffle.
Indeed, yes. Chet is getting involved, but Lennox doesn't know whose side he's going to be on. He seems a bit disturbed by all of this out Chet. Lennox tries to then kind of
pretends he's a big pedo.
As it says here, he summons the spirit of Mr. Confectioner and becomes through his actor brother's advice, becomes a nonce for a few minutes, and this kind of half convinces old Johnny.
Fully convinces him. He's all on board.
And then he, manages to, obviously, does he overpower him?
Yeah,
he's going to kill him, isn't he?
He was going to kill him,
yeah. And then we get the story with Chet where he basically he'd let them start using his boat for porn videos or shagging, and then it all turned fucking very dark indeed.
And then they started blackmailing.
They're blackmailing Chet, yeah. So,
but still not good.
He could have.
He really should have just they said he were blackmailing, and it's just I didn't want my good name ruined, so I decided to let a paedophile ring carry on my boat. I think that's worse.
Yeah.
So
I mean, all you were doing at this point was he was a single man, shagging on a boat.
Yeah, that's allowed.
Hey, it's a slippery slope. Once you get into yachting of any kind, God knows what's going to happen.
Those regattas are fucking mad.
Oh yeah, there's one stage then around it now. Lennox has a weird dream, which is really another kind of classic Welsh fucking, I suppose, intrusive thought, where he's at some sort of auction where they're auctioning off a mannequin, but it looks like Trudy. And Bob Toyle is the auctioneer, and he's taking bids from paedophiles all across the room. And obviously, it's kind of just a...
Why would pedos be interested in Trudy?
It's all fucked up in Lennox's head. Do you know what I mean? He realises that he loves Trudy. He loves her.
He does love her.
And he, obviously, the protective side of him is coming out here. There is at one stage in this dream, there's a mystery Midlands voice from the back of the room.
What are these sports? £400.
He bids 2 million, actually.
Fucking
Which led me to believe this is a sly hint at a celebrity nonce. And I was thinking Midlands, well, that can't be ill.
Where's he from?
He was Leeds area.
Was he?
He was a Yorkshire fuck.
Oh, yeah.
So, Midlands, I don't know. Glitter?
Somerville.
Somerville is not. I don't know which Somerville. Don't say his first name.
No, the cider.
Somerville cider is probably what he drank, alright, whoever this man is.
Where was Glitter from?
Don't know. I think he probably was fucking Landon.
Was he?
I don't know. Midlands. I'm sure there's one or two.
Nonsense.
I'm struggling to think of even a Midlands celebrity who's,
Lenny Henry.
Oh yeah.
The people from UB40.
Indeed. Oh, God. There's so many of them, God knows. The people from UB40.
Ozzy Osbourne.
It's all coming out now.
Phil the Power Taylor.
You're just firing us into a lawsuit left, right and centre here.
No, I know. From Midlands.
Oh, right, yeah, of course. Who may or may not be.
I didn't say that.
Well, I just did.
You did.
Anyway, back we go. Actually, we'll have another flashback. Why not? So this is a kind of the real backstory of Ray Lennox here, where he basically reveals that when he was around 10 himself, him and his mate were fucking abused by 3 tramps in a dark tunnel.
Midland tramps. There were.
They were Okay, so that's where this comes from.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all coming together.
Yeah.
We'd like to just... Despite what we said only moments ago, we don't think that there's a Midland celebrity involved in paedophilia. But there might be. We don't know. That's vague enough, isn't it?
Very vague.
So yeah, so that's probably what...
Johnny Vitt? No.
Johnny from this book, yeah, he's definitely one.
Bastard.
Okay, so there were Midlands paedophiles that just
George was out of jail.
But they were in a tunnel up in fucking Leith.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes no sense.
That's kind of why Ray's a bit fucked up in the head. And I just was reminded of yet another interview that around the time that I've stuck in here to do with this. So Welch told the Belfast Telegraph.
Gapers edition.
Yes, Gapers Block edition. That a pal once told us that he'd been abused and we knew the guy who'd abused him, he explains. He told us in a pub, a bunch of us, and he'd kind of been building up to it. It was obviously a shocking thing, but we found it all very difficult to deal with. We really just didn't have the emotional vocabulary to deal with that kind of disclosure. There was a sense at the time that the guy was saying stuff that wasn't really appropriate, but obviously it was our fucking response that wasn't appropriate. So yeah, he's obviously drawn from a real life situation there to throw that in. That's obviously going to be pretty fucking awkward to deal with. But that's where Ray's come from in this. Then we get the kind of more of the backstory to do with his supporting of Hearts. So there's a descriptive accounting of the time that Hearts lost the league on the last day of the season in 1986.
They really made a bollocks of it.
They certainly did. All they needed was a draw on the day. But they lost to 2 late goals from Dundee United sub Albert Kidd. A Bobby Ball lookalike, I believe.
Very good.
So,
who's Bobby Ball?
Cannonball.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Afro.
Curly Afro.
Yeah. Moustache.
Sure, everyone looked like that back then.
Indeed. Apart from Kojak.
True. Very true.
But Ray also remembers that, after that he'd been a bit of a Hearts casual for a while.
Ray? No, his mate was.
Was it? Jesus. Did I read this at all or listen to it?
Possibly not.
Are you sure?
him and his mate, the two of them were abused in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Ray became a copper, and your man went to the life of
I
crime.
thought Ray had been a casual for a while as well.
He started hanging around with his mates for a while, didn't like them. And then fucked off.
That's what it was. Yeah, the mate, Les, obviously went fucking off the rails after what had happened.
He got
to him.
worse abuse than Ray.
Yeah, he was left behind for a few minutes longer and never spoke about it again for a long time. And started killing pigeons by setting them on fire. Which I'm pretty sure happens. I think Begbie's doing that in a fucking short story that's possibly in Reheat Cabbage. I'm pretty sure that's mentioned. And obviously, once again, animals being abused.
He hates animals.
But Ray's dad had a heart attack at that Hearts game as well, obviously as a result of Albert Kidd scoring those goals.
And then he couldn't get it up, so he couldn't ride the wife, and then the wife, Ray's mother, had an affair.
With Uncle Jock.
Uncle Jock.
Yeah, and that all came out in the wash after Dad's funeral. He didn't die at that time, but he only died, I suppose, a few years before this book is set.
He just found out that they'd been having the affair.
And that killed him. And the brother who's mentioned, Stuart, the actor, he found the father's porn stash and said that a co-worker thought that his dad might have been having a wank in his office, which when he tensed up having a heart attack, so obviously they were looking in the window and seeing him in there and thought he was having a wank, but he was actually dying. But El Ray, once again, kind of an awkward funeral. In a Welsh book, El Ray confronts Uncle Jock about shagging the mother and starts calling him Mr. Confectioner at the funeral. He does eventually meet up with Les and they speak about what had happened years later, so I suppose that probably brought some kind of closure to... For him, anyway.
Probably for Les. Not for Ray.
No. Yeah, the heart stuff, obviously there's a lot of real stuff in here. So Wallace Mercer was featured in this chapter about Hearts. I think he was the owner of Hearts at the time. And Welch writes about him here. He writes about this kind of put-on smile that he always had for the cameras. They'd actually concentrate on El Wallace for a few paragraphs where he's kind of getting his shit together in the toilets before coming out to face the crowd.
Face the music.
But apparently this man once proposed that Hearts and Hibs merge to compete with the old firm. So
it's not going to go down well.
No, well obviously it didn't happen. He died around the time of this book coming out as well, apparently.
Do you think this had nothing to do with it?
Possibly so.
Murder.
No, I think he came out before the book. Or sorry, he died before the book came out.
But he came out.
No, I'm not saying that. We've already slandered enough celebrities on here. But there was also mention of a certain Graham Ricks.
Yeah.
Ring a bell, James, yes?
Indeed.
Who managed Hearts in the mid-2000s. After
being convicted of a nonce.
Yes. And had also had a lengthy career with none other than Arsenal. FC in the 70s and 80s. So.
And Chelsea.
Well, we'll concentrate on Arsenal here because you're an Arsenal fan, James. What have you got to say about that?
Not much.
I think your silence speaks volumes.
I wasn't actually being silent. He was convicted after he played for Arsenal.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what sort of sights he saw that gave him the...
The only thing that kept him on a straight and narrow was Arsenal. After that, he ran wild.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, we'll move on. Lennox also, we mentioned this about
Frank.
What
was your man's name? Frank Boff.
Side bottom.
Frank Boff.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
He was done for curb crawling.
When the Boff breaks.
Yeah. He was done for curb crawling, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he used to... Well, again, this isn't obviously a crime, but he used to dress up in nylon stockings and parade around as well. Possibly not on the curbs, but yeah. I'll be honest here. Why not? I don't dress.
There's always a first.
I don't dress up in hosier, but I remember being in L Extravision years ago with Moss, and there was a movie When the Bow Breaks. Yeah. But when I seen it, I did say, "What the fuck is that? When the Boff Breaks." It wasn't quite Morbid Angle or House of Pain, but it wasn't great. Yeah, so that's kind of the whole backstory of where Lennox has come from in this whole fucking situation.
Samey world.
Back to Miami for the final showdown, I guess.
Like Will Smith.
Not quite.
When was he involved?
Well, he's certainly gone down. His stock has gone down in recent months, hasn't it?
Certainly. Well, what did you do?
Slapping people.
Oh, that.
Slapping arses.
What's your man's name you slapped?
Chris Rockhart.
You're calling him an arse.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's been called worse. But anyway, the climax of the novel involves Johnny getting the shit kicked out of him on the boat, as we said. And then on the way back to Miami City, he must have got a list of names, didn't
No,
he?
he figured out it was a paedophile ring. It wasn't just...
How did he figure it out, though? Because I can't remember.
He knew that they were connected. Johnny and Lance were connected. And then he went through all the files and realised they were all connected. It was a paedophile ring.
Oh, yeah, he looked
and
at
they
Johnny's.
they were targeting Tiana's mother, Robin.
Yeah.
And each of them were taking their turn. And then anytime she got suspicious, they'd fuck off and the next fella would come in.
Yeah.
Because they knew she was broken.
Yes. But they were meeting at conventions under the guise of being fucking...
An actual convention centre for... Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
They were pretending they were salesmen or something. Yeah. So yeah, Lennox learns that there's one coincidentally on that same day or the next day or whatever, and goes to it and fucking gets one of them into jacks and beats the bollocks out of him. And
not the first time he goes into the wrong convention.
Oh yeah.
And accuses some poor bastards, window salesman or something of being pedos.
I'd forgotten about that. Why didn't I write that down? That's a fucking good bit. Again, apart from Il Ginger, that's probably the only comic relief in the whole fucking book. He eventually makes his way back to Robin's apartment though as well, and this is quite good as well. Out Starry answers the door and he loafs her.
Yeah, boom.
So and then what's his name? Lance is in there as well, and they have this big showdown in the apartment with the gun. And I think the gun explodes in Lance's face.
Shooting gunman.
Shooting gunman part 3. It must have been a pretty fucking dirty gun he was using.
Oh, well, I'd say it's been in a lot of places.
A lot of places indeed.
Johnny's ass.
So Johnny gets fucked up obviously by that and dies in hospital.
That's Lance. Johnny's already fucked.
Yes. Johnny's arrested, Starry's arrested, and Robin testifies against them all. So I suppose it ends with Tiana's obviously going to go into some sort of care. She's not.
No, I don't think they said that.
It doesn't say, no.
I don't think it would have been. Ginger and your woman take her.
They were minding her for a while, but I don't think. I mean, it's pretty early on, so they probably hadn't decided in a court of law who was going to take her. I mean, I thought for a while Ray was going to attempt to. Maybe she turns up with the long knives. I don't know. Haven't got that far yet, but he does share his story, his abuse story with Tiana to obviously try and connect with her more, make her realise that none of it was her fault, and they kind of come to that conclusion.
They've been in the park where they're roaring at each other.
Yeah, I have it down here. So they're at a Holocaust statue in Miami that has an Anne Frank quote on it. In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. And then they have a shouting contest. Just roaring, fuck off, you dirty nonsense, in broad daylight.
Yeah.
And then, Ray has the list of girls that the nonce gang had and he burns it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I suppose you could argue it does end on an upbeat fashion. Certainly for a Welsh novel it does. It doesn't end with a guy getting his nuts sawn off in ICU the way fucking Marabou Storm Nightmares did, shoved into his mouth.
I think that's more uplifting than that.
So best writing. Here's one for you, James. Again, we don't have the fucking page numbers now because we didn't read the book, but I can tell you that this is in Edinburgh Part 2.
Graham Cornell's bearing announced him as transparently gay. To your mind, it was ludicrous to think he'd snatch a female child. But for some of the boys like Gilman, gay equaled pervert equaled nonce. You could stick them on as many equal ops training courses as you liked. But the algebra long form could be totally encrypted and was always waiting to return.
So, I suppose we're really getting
What's your man from Glure called? Is that Graham Cornell?
No, that's Graham
Cox, is it?
Yeah, Graham Coxon. Yeah.
All right.
Once again, that's yet another celebrity that we're not accusing of being a paedophile.
No, I was just wondering his name.
No, that's not him.
All right.
It's not his name. Here's another one in the section entitled Road Trip. As they splutter onto the mangrove swamps, Tiana is impressed by the ubiquity of alligators of all sizes. Some cruise by like drifting logs, with only their eyes above the waterline. Others lie partially submerged in the shallows. Most bask on the bank mud flaps under the mangrove trees, looking quietly sinister. This is so neat, she squeals in delight. Lennox isn't too sure about the gators, especially when they pass a group of larger ones. These large, fat, grinning creatures look as contented and conspiring as veteran football hooligans relaxing under the parasols of continental cafes. They aren't going darting around in search of prey. They'll wait patiently for the opportunity to arise before ruthlessly striking. No wonder Lacoste is such a popular pug brand, he considers.
Very true.
So I suppose there's a couple of things in there that would remind you obviously of Marabou Stork Nightmares with the parallels between hooliganism and predatory
Gators.
Animals. Well, storks, gators, you name it. But I suppose you could argue as well that the gators are representing, you know, the paedophiles as well here.
Very true. A lot of them.
So there's that.
Did you ever watch The Other Guys?
I don't think so. Wahlberg?
Will Ferrell and Wahlberg.
No, I don't think so.
It's brilliant.
Is it?
You really should watch it. Gators in that. It's very funny. You should watch that.
I'll check it out. I never got around to that. I've seen... Hang on. Did I see The Other Guys? Yeah, I think I fucking did years
He has
ago.
the wooden gun.
Does that start with fucking Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock jumping off a fucking building?
Yeah.
So I did say it, yeah. That's the only bit I remember of it.
Will Ferrell in his previous life was a pimp called Gator. he breaks out into Gator every now and again.
Okay.
Very good. Gator don't play that shit.
It must be a while since I've seen it. I start to get confused by which Wahlberg film or Will Ferrell film we're talking about, because then there's that other one. Was there another Guys too?
No, I don't think
What's
so.
the one where Mel Gibson is?
Yeah, that's
When Harry met
Parents.
Sally.
Fatherhood, Parents, whatever, something like that.
Like father, like son.
No. Good Dads.
In the name of the father.
Good Dads. Maybe it's not Good Dads.
Good Dads. That's a bad title for a
Shite
film.
title. I
It's
don't
nearly
think
as
that's
bad
it.
as Shooting Gunman.
What is it?
Dude, Where's My Father?
Step Brothers. No. Daddy's Home.
Daddy's Home.
1 and 2.
Okay.
Very good.
Have you seen Come to Daddy?
CUM.
No.
Alright.
It's, what's his name? Elijah Wood. It's quite good.
No.
It's kind of a mixture of a thriller stroke horror. It's not bad now. It's not bad. Your man is in, you know, that Northern Ireland fella, Michael Smiley.
Smiley Bulger.
No,
Oh, I see it there, yeah.
that's quite good.
Oh, him, yeah. Did you
Anyway,
ever see Greasy Strangler?
yes. I recommended The Greasy Strangler to you.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you've seen it.
Of course I fucking seen
You
it.
might have just seen the clips.
Did you actually watch it?
I've
Because
fucking watched it several times. It's brilliant. Portal.
have you seen the second one?
Yeah,
Not
it's
the
not as
second.
good. Yeah,
I can't remember the name, but
yeah, it's not as good.
yeah. There's some good bits in it though.
Yeah. Portal. Portal. Paprika.
Bullshit
chips.
artist. It's brilliant. Even watching remember we watched, I think we were up watching the World Cup in your back garden, the telly, and we just stuck on the trailer or the fucking extended
Highlights.
trailer that was on YouTube,
Yeah.
and it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. But anyway, back to Good Writing in Crime by Irvin Welch.
Alright. Maybe we should do the Greasy Strangler.
Yeah, we could do.
And there's the film.
We should probably branch off into other films, alright. This is in a section called Miami Beach.
Lennox feels himself swallows beer with a hard gulp. That promotion was 8 years ago. His career has stagnated since, but some cunts wouldn't he let go. He shrugs again in a non-committal manner. I reckon that's the way of the world, Buck. Bill Reardon chuckles. Aye, but it shouldn't he be? Ginger closes one eye, focusing the other in accusation on Lennox. Bullies, they call them. That job you got, that you shouldn't have gone to, somebody like Robbo. Now where's the policeman?
So at least Ginger still thinks that Bruce Robertson was a good copper. Fair play. His legacy will never die.
So true.
So yeah, that's favourite writing out of the book, as far as I'm concerned.
Luke.
Most disturbing. I mean, we're not going to elaborate here. It's basically everything else.
The whole thing.
Yeah. Graphic descriptions. You know, yeah, we're not going into it. And obviously, poor Braveheart, the dog, as well. It's not good.
No, getting eaten by an alligator.
R.I.P. Connecting lines.
Loads.
Basically, everyone from Filth is in this.
Yeah.
Except the worm.
Yeah, that's a pity.
You can only assume the worm is dead, as well as Bruce.
He could have helped Braveheart.
He could have, to fight off the gator. As I say, especially Robbo's mentioned many times, even though he's dead. Oh yeah, there's one other connecting line. You can read this one out. It's another little extract from the book, James.
You switch your stare onto Stuart. The angel-faced wee crawler had turned into an opinionated, obnoxious wanker, and everyone still had made a fuss of him. I'm lucky having you to tell me how Scotland would have been a free socialist utopian republic by now if I hadn't joined the police. Stuart raised his hands in mock surrender. Okay, Ray, I apologise. I was out of order. I'm just a wee bit pissed off that I didn't get that Taggart part I was up for. Hey! But you've been in Taggart before, son. Avril consoled. Aye, Mum. That was a different role.
His mother sounded very manly there.
Yeah, she was after being with Uncle Jock.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And he poked her throat a bit.
Disturbed her Adam's apple, perhaps.
Very true.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, at least Taggart was mentioned. So, yeah, overall thoughts, James?
Terrible.
Really?
Well written, but it's just... I would never read a book like this. And I never want to read it again.
Okay.
It's just a horrible subject.
Oh, yeah.
It's
obviously,
fucking...
Yeah. A very tough
There's
subject.
no comedy in this or that, really. It's...
Well, apart from the mention of Taggart and him going into the wrong paedophile convention.
But apart from that,
Yeah.
No, I didn't enjoy it. Did not enjoy it.
That's fair enough. Well, I'm pretty sure that's the last mention of this subject in a Welsh book. So
Oh, the follow-up better not be about that shit,
no,
is
it's
it?
not. It's not. It's definitely not.
Must have been fucking chicken fuckers or something.
No. Well, it starts with a guy getting his nads cut off. A politician.
That's more like it.
Yeah. So, anyone's guess where it goes from there. Probably a romantic comedy, really.
Yeah, rom-com.
But yeah, this one, I mean, as you said, the toughest of subjects to cover. The story does move along well, I thought, though, and obviously as it goes on, you get a much better understanding of Ray Lennox, and because when it started off, you're remembering this scutty little sidekick from Filth, who is just, I just pictured your man Billy Elliot, whatever his fucking name is, Jamie Bell. But obviously, since watching the crime TV show, I now picture Il Dougly or someone in between. But I mean, his backstory at times obviously sounds a bit familiar, like Roy from Marley Stark, or even Bruce himself. Abuse issues, this tough father-son relationship. Bit of football hooliganism mentioned. And obviously you get themes of addiction in there as well, as per usual. But ultimately he is a good man, I think, or proves himself to be in this book. As good as you're going to get.
Yeah, I suppose.
A rare thing in Welsh books.
The end bit of it was shite as well. The last fucking hell.
It did come across a bit corny, if I'm being honest.
Oh, God.
But I do think he kind of nailed the character of Tiana in terms of being a child character who's old beyond her years. But
Like the Robbie Williams song.
I'm not aware of that song, thank God.
No, I think I was going to say Before I Was Young. That's some shit like
Old
that.
Before I Die.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm old
Before I Die. Yeah.
whoa.
It's nothing like that.
But it's probably the best female character he's wrote to date.
Well, that wouldn't be fucking hard.
Yeah, okay. But it's yet another novel that kind of shoves a mirror into the face of man and shows off the worst of his vices, and I suppose we've gotten a sinister decline in kind of the voices of man in his books, haven't we? From drugs to porn and now to abuse and murder. So we can't go any lower. That's the good news.
Well, let's hope not.
it is a horrible subject matter and it has very little, as we say, comedy or uplifting sections in it, but corny and all as the ending is, there probably is a lighter ending than a lot of his other books, as we said. But as you said, not enjoyable read, but it's very hard to read in sections, but I do think it's a good story. It's weird, the story, if the plot device had been something other than fucking paedophilia, it could have been something good, but what you put in there in place of it, I don't know. Drugs.
It was a bit... It's a bit far out, in fairness. Like,
I remember seeing an interview with your man Vince Gilligan, who created Breaking Bad, and he was talking about how the point of Breaking Bad and the whole story is, about the change in character of Walter White and how he gets from here to here and how it affects everyone else. And the fact that it's about crystal meth is immaterial, really. It could have been anything. And he actually used he used the example of, he could have gotten into child porn. The story arc would have been the same from his character's point of view. I was like, I don't think you would have got that sold, Vince. I don't think AMC would have picked that one up. But anyway, he's covered it. We've gotten through it. We've still got the TV show to do, but
God.
Out of 5?
1.
Really? Jesus, have you given a 1 before?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It was in no way enjoyable to read. It was terrible.
Fair enough. I give it 2.5 out of 5, purely from obviously a storytelling point of view, and the character of Lennox. There was a progression there, and it got quite detailed. He's a Hearts fan as well, which makes a change from all the Hibbies. Although Bruce was a Hearts fan as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, all the Polies were Hearts fans.
Yeah, but sure, look, it's been the Polish are all fucking Hearts fans, and the
Freemasons,
the scumbags are all fucking Hibbies. It's like in Star Wars films, all the villains are English.
Yes,
the heroes are American. But sure, look, that's crime. We've gotten through it.
Let's never speak of it again.
Indeed, we're done.
Fuck it, we have to do the series.
Yeah, but sure, look, the series is marginally
it's
less
not as bad.
Disturbing.
The child doesn't die.
Well, we certainly don't see anything.
No, they save her.
No, they don't. The fucking child at the start was killed. Brittany Hamill was killed in the first episode. She is. I've only watched it in the last fucking week.
No, they find her in the... They save her on the...
In the war?
Yeah.
That's a different kid.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm fucking positive.
I know about that.
You need a refresher. I'm telling you now. Look at it. Just wiki it. If she dies, we're spoiling it for anyone that hasn't, but sure, fuck it.
It's out ages.
It's out fucking ages. I'm the last person that's interested in watching it who has watched it. But yeah. But you don't see her getting killed or anything like that. Anyway, we're not talking.
Who was the other child then?
Just someone he snatched on the last day. He didn't even... He just did that to fuck with old Lennox.
Alright.
But sure, look, we'll talk about all this next time we meet. We
Well,
could have done it tonight, but, just not finished it. So.
neither of us have finished it, so...
And I haven't printed off my notes.
yeah, so...
But obviously, no spoilers. That is what we're going to do next. Crime, the TV series.
After that, something good, hopefully.
Do you want to do... After that, maybe we'll do the TV series about darts. Would you like to do that, James? That'd be a treat for you. No, it's called Good Arrows. It might even be on YouTube. Be handy for you. He did the screenplay for for a comedy series called Good Arrows about our lads playing darts.
We'll do that, so.
Yeah, just to lighten the mood.
Lighten the mood after that show.
Before we get into the long... We have to do the Long Knives. I wanted to do the Long Knives as it came out. But sure, that time is past. That's the fucking sequel to Crime. We keep mentioning.
Is it a book or something?
Yeah, it's the new... It will be Crime Series 2.
Alright.
Because it's about Ray Lennox.
It's do we have to read the book as well?
You'll have to listen to the book, yeah.
Right, right.
Fucking hell. Do you want me to just fucking do the books from now on? And you can
I'll do the
scratch
books.
your hole.
As long as they're not about fucking pedos, I'm grand.
They're not. I can't promise you animals won't be killed. I can't promise you
Well, he does that
people
all the time.
won't be buggered.
Well, he's definitely been buggered himself.
We've really fucking just lay down the fucking gauntlet tonight, haven't we?
He has, though.
He's no charisma. He leads a boring life. He's definitely had anal sex, and everyone from the Midlands that ever an ounce of fame
Is it Peter?
Yeah.
All
of these things have been proven to be false, as the Day Today would say. Anyway,
Possibly false.
but sure, look, we're done and dusted. I don't think I've anything else to add, have you?
Possibly not.
Anything else you'd like to discuss?
What shall we discuss?
Halloween? What's the part of Halloween?
I don't like Halloween, now do you?
Yeah, I do like Halloween. As I drink from a skull cup. Of course
Goblet, I'd say. Wait, what are you dressing up as? A wanker.
An alligator.
Gator don't play that shit.
we'll just say goodbye, so damn, yeah.
Oh yeah, see you.
Yeah.
Thanks. The next one will be better.
So says you.